Welcome. My name is MetroMeta, and I'd like to welcome all of you to the MetroMeta podcast. Here, we work to find our own metas, to define ourselves by who we are. I'd like for you guys to sit back, relax, and remember to rise above. The month is August as I make this speech, 2018, and I think today we all might want to sit back, relax, and think of some simpler times, and to remind ourselves of who we are and why we do what we do. And for that matter, I found myself a quote. Perhaps you might find some love in this as well. We embrace those things that make us unique or odd, for only in these things can we locate and then develop our most individual abilities. From the Akata Witch book series, written by a very amazing artist. I would encourage all of you guys to check this out, and I would check out this book, and I think I'm gonna discuss this later on. But enough of the intro. Why don't we get into the meat of our subject this week? Why don't we get into our first topic? So with that, let's go rise above. This week's theme could be many things, but I think it is pure rebellion that I want to ponder upon today. One of my favorite Bible quotes is, now I have to think about this, you know how it is, but I believe the way it is phrased is, where your heart is, there your treasure will be also. And I love this quote partly because of its meaning, but also because it perfectly describes our topic this week. Persona 5. For those of you guys who have not played it, Persona 5 is an amazing JRPG. A game who defines almost an interesting place in the gaming world. Persona 5 is, if I were to use its full description, a turn-based JRPG life simulator. A game in which you spend your days hanging out with your friends, talking to new and interesting characters, and doing odd things such as buying books, working a minimal job, and sleeping and playing video games, while you spend your nights completely enthralled in a endless battle of rebellion and chaos as you battle the very evil hearts of everybody who seeks to destroy the very society you stay. It's a strange experience in which the player can spend 5 minutes doing nothing but hitting on his teacher, and then for the very next 5 minutes delve into the dungeon of a mobster's heart and fight an evil fly thingy, is what I will describe it as and continue to describe it as. The game, to all sense of the word, is anime. It has everything that anime is known for. Strangely objectified women who you can't call objectified because they still are, let's face it, stronger than anything the West could ever produce on one of their TV show, movies, or anything for that. They have strange hairdos that all the guys have that make no sense and don't look good unless you have on a weird latex outfit, let's call it. They have strange monsters, amazing culture, and an art style that will burn the lights out of the eyes of a young child who has never seen cool before. It's a game that makes cel-shaded art games such as Borderlands and Fortnite look like nothing more than drawings of a 5-year-old child who just picked up a crown and started to move it across the page. It is a game with a turn-based combat that is both immensely immersive while simultaneously boring enough that you can just have a podcast on and just go through. It has an amazing sense of style that moves throughout the game, making it almost feel like you're moving throughout a storybook, as if you managed to step into a comic book and you yourself are that comic book character. I love this game in a way that cannot be described by mere words. It is a feat of amazingness that it cannot be matched. And it has many different lessons in it. But the two I want to focus on today are its sense of rebellion and the importance of other people. One thing that sets this game apart from many other games is its, I want to say, crutch of other characters. But it's not a crutch. As they say when it comes to Bethesda and glitches, it's not a glitch, it's a gameplay choice. See, other characters, other people in this world exist, and you are encouraged to talk to them, get to know them. You can date them, you can hang out with them, go to movies, you can do all sorts of things with other characters in the game, and you sort of build this Scooby gang of different people. It makes a very realistic way of you seeing how something like this would go on. Oftentimes in many stories, what ends up happening is they create this everyman character who is holding out this entire rebellion by himself, and it seems almost disconnected, but Persona 5 doesn't do that. Instead, it shows a world and it shows a gameplay system in which you have to rely on everybody around you in order for you to be successful. You have to spend your evenings hanging out with the shady clinical doctor so that you can get the medicine you need to get through. You have to pay off and flirt with your teachers in order to be able to spend your nights roaming around and to get free time during the day to do odd things. You have to develop a connection with the local gun shop owner so that you, an underage student, can purchase guns, which you don't do. They're BB guns, to be clear. But it shows a world and it shows a system in which you are yourself building a group of people, a connection, a clove, a concave, a group, a guild. You are the Persona Thieves of Hearts, and it is your job to give everybody in your group the gear they need to succeed. And you have to figure out a way to do that, whether you like it or not. And it's very realistic to say so. It's very easy for you to get into this groove where you meet up with your different counterparts to see what they do, and it makes an interesting gameplay system in which you must engage with the story in order for you to successfully solve it. You can beat the game without getting to know very much about many of the characters, but you would waste several nights and you would be extremely weak. Honestly, if you use your confidence correctly in this game, you can borderline break the game. You can get tons of money from each of the dungeons. You can use them to power up your own personas, and you can use them to be able to get away from some of the negative side effects the game puts out there. You can figure out a way to finally make Morgana make you stop going to sleep if you use those confidants right. And it's an amazing way of framing this world. You are not the main character just because you happen to be the main character. You're the main character because you know how to use the people around you. You know how to work with those people, how to live with those people, and you know how to keep those people happy so that you can get their help in everything that you need and convince them to follow you. And it brings into this sense of rebellion throughout the game. The name of the game is Rebellion. That's why the colors are black and red. That's why the characters walk around like they just came out of a rock album. It's why the entire system throughout the game is just broken. Every single step you take, you see nothing more than a broken system, and you feel the weight of the world on your head. You have to stand there in court and stand above some prosecutors that have a 99% convention raiding. You have to stand up to a mob boss who is blackmailing you. You have to help a little girl overcome overwhelming suicide thoughts. You have to save the entire world, in which a world where everything is wrong and you cannot help but feel hopeless in this world. How are you supposed to solve these problems? How are you supposed to save these people? There's nothing you can do. You're nothing more than a teenager with a special app. Even with all the superpowers in the world, at the end of the day, you still feel uncrushingly hopeless. It's a feeling I think we've all began to feel in these times. This feeling that everything is wrong, and no matter what we do, no matter how much we protest, there's nothing we can do to solve. But Persona, I think to its credit, finds a way to do that. It gives you an out. It gives you a way of solving these problems, something that I think we could all use nowadays. It tells you how to solve these problems. All you have to do is trust in the people who are beside you. All you have to do is to trust everybody around you and to make sure that you put your faith in your friends and your family. You make sure that your treasure is not some gold coins or any money. Your treasure is the friends and family around you. And together you guys work in order to make a better world. And that to me is the rebellion of Persona 5. The rebellion to say, I and my family will stand together. Alright, boys and girls, it's time for us to cool down and head on home. It's time for us to leave our great journey and go back to the lives we live and see the world we are to see. In my closing arguments, I would like to thank everybody who led me here and talk about what this show is going to be. I call myself MetroMeta for multiple reasons. I think it's cool. I like the initials MM, and I don't want you guys using my other nicknames. But the main reason why I call myself MetroMeta, and the main reason why I call this show MetroMeta, is two reasons. The first, Metro. I grew up in the Denver metropolitan area, and I come from a city point of view. I think about diversity, I think about the long-term effects of certain things. And I need to preface that by saying this is where I am. You know? This is who I am. So, that's the Metro. But the meta, that's important. I said earlier that every superhero should have a philosophy. And if I were to come up with my own philosophy, it would be meta. Meta, for those of you guys who don't know, refers to a creative work referring to itself or to the convention of its genre. It's self-referential. It's basically when a show references something that points out a flaw or point to it. And in the video game sphere, there's a term called meta, referring to meta game, or a game within a game. And in the esports terms, this game refers to what characters are good at a certain time in the game. And when I say meta, I'm referencing myself. And I think that this world would be better if people reference themselves. That's to say, we take the time both to study who we are and who we aren't, thinking about everything that makes us, us, and everything that makes everybody else, everybody else. Both relishing the differences and swimming in the similarities. We need to constantly be who we are and who we were born to be, but that doesn't mean you were perfect. That doesn't mean you were born perfect. That doesn't mean you're beautiful just because you are who you are. It means that you must grow. You must learn who you are, and you must constantly be working to make yourself better. You must constantly be refining and relearning your meta. That is what I mean when I say meta. And what I mean when I say rise above. We must rise above who we are and rise above what we are. But in order to do that, you must first figure out who you are and what you want. What is your philosophy? What is your meta? And with that, I'd like to say good night, goodwill, and remember to rise above.